welcome back to another show. This time we've got a Kiyoshi Kurosawa double bill. Obviously I'm used to a different Kurosawa, I've found a different Kurosawa, so this is different for me. So I'm going to talk about Cure, and I'm going to talk about Pulse. So the Kurosawa come up in the 90s, went at the same time as Takashi Miike. He came up through the direct-to-video stuff like Miike. They both did their own thing. They both come out to be prolific directors who make a lot of good films that are well received. Miike is more extreme, while Kurosawa is a lot more traditional in his camera technique and his treatment of actors and his subject matter. He's a bit more traditional than Miike, but most people are more traditional than Miike. You know, Miike is, a force unto his own, but Kurosawa is different. Kurosawa is more traditional. To a degree, he's traditional in his technique. These two films are not traditional in the subject matter or in how they develop. These are two excellent films. These are two very haunting films. I would say I probably prefer Pulse slightly, but this is slightly, because these are two really creepy films, and they're films you'll remember after you've seen them, and they'll be pointing around your head after you've seen them, because they've got a really great aftertaste to them, and because they both look at genre and know there's power beyond the actual genre constraint. The genres became popular because they have meaning beyond just the simple exploitation. The first one, Cure, was from 1997. This was just before the J-horror boom. So it's not a traditional J-horror movie. It's a serial killer movie, but it has a supernatural feel to it, even though the solution isn't supernatural. But the way it's shot has this sense of nature floating around the city and causing havoc. Like, the villain feels like a force of nature for so much of the film. Until you work out what he's about, he feels like a force of nature. And even when you find out what he's about, it still feels a bit like a force of nature wrecking people's sanity and sense of belief in themselves, a sense of belief in what they're doing with their lives. Basically, you're a police officer who's very good at his job but has dark impulses, and he's got a wife who's mentally ill, and you're never quite sure how did he influence that. Did he help or hinder her? Like, what was the relationship like before the film started? Because he's a guy who seems to be sitting in a lot of darkness, partly because of his job, but it's also like, did he go into this job because he had that darkness to him? But he's a very kind of traditional character of a cop who is very good at his job and will get the villain. It's that kind of cliche, but it goes deeper than that to suggest there's a lot of damage to this guy. But it's all very subtly done. It's not like he's a lunatic or anything. It's just there's just a little hint of darkness to him as you go on with the film. As you see him progress through the story, you get more and more hints of darkness to him. But it's not like it's been slammed across your face every 2 seconds. For the first half of the movie, he's just trying to work out who the killer is, and there are just little doses of what's wrong with his wife and things like that. Now, basically, the idea is to try to chase down why these people are all. These people who are strangers to each other end up killing who seem like strangers to themselves or loved ones of themselves. People who they should not kill. These people are not violent, have never had any history of violence, but they brutally butcher these people and cut an X on their neck. That's just the thing. An X on the neck is the thing that's a tie. No one can work it out. What's this tie? What's this X mean? And why are these perfect strangers committing brutal acts of murders? I mean, there's a guy who kills a prostitute. You know. There's another guy who kills his wife in a brutal fashion. He's a school teacher and never had any violence. And what you find out as you go along is they've been running into this man who seems to have lost his memory. And that's why I say it's like a force of nature, because this guy just seems like he's nothing to him. He's been flattened out by life. There's nothing there in his head anymore, and he seems like an act of nature coming back to haunt the living, even though he's this living guy. And he's talking to people, he's repeating what they're saying. He always acts as if he cannot remember what they've just said to him, and he keeps working on them. And as the film progresses, you start to work out, you start to find the method of his madness as he runs into other people, like a policeman who he ends up influencing to kill this other policeman who's annoying the hell out of him. He talks to this mortician who works for the police, and he ends up having her commit acts because he seems to fit into what the dark side of the person actually is. And because this is an old film, I'm going to go into spoilers here now, right? Because there's no way to talk this film without going into some sort of spoilery thing. So basically what it suggested, now it suggested, it never clarifies it 100%, but it suggested is it's hypnotism. There's a weird way of hypnotising based on mesmerism from the last century that came over to Japan, and there's been cults of mesmerists since then, and this guy apparently has worked out how to use it through phrasing, through repeating, through different sources, either water or light, finds ways to hypnotise people to do things that should go against their nature, but actually feeds into the darker side of their nature that they're suppressing. Which, obviously, the main cop who's hunting them down, suppressing this as well. The darker side of their nature, the worst side of the nature they won't admit to themselves, or maybe if they do, they won't go very far with it. And it's just wonderful because it's this creepy feeling, even though there's some psychology involved. They can point to, oh, we're investigating mesmerism, we're investigating this, we know this guy's up to something beyond what he's saying. But because the way that it's been shot and the force of this sense of like this almost malign disease that comes through this guy from his use of hypnotism, it's like, I just feel like a thing of nature coming back to haunt the supposed civilised world, even though it's completely intentional. There's the haunting feel of the way the shots are set up, these long takes, that gives you a sense of something's not quite right, it's beyond logic, it's like human nature kind of turning itself, you know. It's almost like the mesmerism discovered certain things within human nature, and it's just like a reflection. Like this guy who won't see anything, it's almost like a reflection of your own banality that's coming back to haunt you, and it's going to infect you and make you do stuff that you've kind of suppressed. So even though there is a logical thing what he's doing, there's a sense of something else there that's not quite logical. It's very nature tied. There's just a atmosphere of dread that comes from this film that's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful film, very haunting. No one should ever remake this film. It's perfect as it is. Don't remake it. That's my big plea. Do not remake this film. This is so good. So I don't want to say much more, but I think you should try and see the film. I think most people watch this have seen the film, but it's just astonishing. Then we have Pulse. Now, Pulse has a more obvious setup, which is the idea of the internet. There's something in the internet that's actually infecting people and allowing ghosts to contact them and letting them see ghosts, interact with ghosts. Like the idea that there's something within the atmosphere that just was unseen until the internet came about, and because of the crudity of the original dial-up system and through accidental discovery of things that could allow a kind of crossover, this is discovered and people start to see ghosts, and ghosts are starting to turn to the land of the living. People are seeing them, and it's causing people to feel as if they've been infected and losing their sense of life and losing their sense of ambition to stay alive. And it becomes this haunting of the world through technology. The idea that the world was brought together by the internet, and all it does is drain you of life, and you end up being suicidal and dying by your own hand. Now, does that not sound a bit familiar from what's going on now? You know, doesn't that seem like a Kurosawa found the metaphor instantly about what social media was and nailed it before we even started? You know, it's just, as soon as you saw it, this is perfect summing up of our modern age. And what was also great, because I've talked about Kotoko before, this is another film, this was a metaphor for depression. It's the idea of what happens when you're depressed. You lose your sense of self, you lose your sense of community and how to connect with people, and a sense of the worth of other people to you, and the worth of life, and you just slowly just drift away from life. And the people, when they die, when they go from being living to ghosts, they start off as a person and they fade into the wall to become this stain in the wall, and then the stain just dissipates and they become the ghost. But it's done so creepily, because it's done so simply, that it just works so well, and it is genuinely creepy, because it taps into your subconscious in a way that David Lynch managed to do as well. There's something about it, the way they do it, it's just, you can't explain why it's creepy, but it just is creepy. It just seems to hit something elemental about how humans see themselves, and how they see themselves going from a person to a ghost to image to people to being almost nothing. And it just works so well. And the whole metaphor of the world falling apart for true technology goes slowly over 2 hours. It's a 2-hour film, but you really feel it. You feel through the film this sense of unease, and then a sense of knowing that you're alive, and people keep fighting to survive, and it's just useless. And the world just is getting overtaken by the ghosts, and there's so many ghosts from hundreds of years of human beings, and there's no escape from them. So they've tapped into this one thing, and people are drawn to it as they're drawn to their own destruction. It's like they can't resist it. They need to know, but what lies beyond, is there life beyond? And what the ghosts see is there's beyond's just lonely. You're just lonely, there's nothing there, it's just loneliness. It's actually worse than being alive, and it just taps into the sense of dread that people have about their existence, and what lies beyond is nothing, or is even worse, it's just loneliness. What does that mean to you, and how that affects you? Again, that's why it's about depression, this sense of crushing depression, there's nothing there. The same way in real life, people talk on the internet, and all they're getting is negativity back, and all they're getting is a sense of just loneliness, and there's nothing there. There's nothing beyond. Through talking to other people all around the world, there's nothing there of interest to them. So it's just a great metaphor for the internet, but it's also a great horror film. Pulse is just stunningly good. Pulse is just... I've done this was I avoided for years. I thought, that sounds tacky, I'm not going to bother with that. Then I finally got around to watching it, I was like, this is amazing, this is just so good. But it does sound tacky, the internet connection with ghosts, it does sound tacky, but once you see how it's done so well. It kind of reminded me a lot of the great ghost stories, how the great ghost stories affect your mind by going into what scares you and what affects you and what where weaknesses are. Something that's shining, how it shows a family going mad together, and how the ghosts affect their sense of themselves. It's that kind of same feeling, but on a global scale. It's just wonderful. It's a beautiful film. I highly recommend it. Just go see it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with some more. Bye for now.